If you're planning to start reading, you would go onto the internet, research books, and it is inevitable that you would land on at least 3, 4, 5 books that I'm going to talk about in this video. My intention is to help you understand which book is actually worth the hype and which is not. Now, why should you listen to a stranger on the internet talk about books, give her opinion on the books that are already overhyped? This is why you should listen to me. If you feel like our tastes are similar, you might agree with my opinion. So, I usually like to read non YA books, which is non young adult. I like to read adult fiction. I don't mean adult fiction, but grown up fiction. I don't know how to put it, romance fiction. So it's not about teenagers or like coming of age romance. It is about people who have their life going on. They have real struggles. I am very new to fantasy. I've not explored a lot. I have read some here and there. I like to read thrillers. I like to read books that focus more on the character development, character growth, rather than being heavily driven by the plot. So that's just some of the things that I like, and that is what I am basing my opinion on. So let's start. I'm going to cover a lot of books in this video. I have some books that I have physically with me. A lot of them I read on my Kindle or I've read over the years, so I don't have the copy with me. But let's start. The first one is Into the Blue. Now, this book, I feel like there was a time everybody was talking about this book. Everybody was obsessed with it. This, for me, is a maybe. I did not enjoy the characters that much. I actually found them very annoying. It's very promising in the start. I loved it. It has good writing, good romance. Some of the parts of the book are written very cleverly. A part where they're doing an improv in the book, very clever. The writing is really good. It just connects so well as to what is happening in that improv, as to what is happening in the book, in the characters' lives. So, plus on that. But overall, the story just did not do it for me. So, it's a maybe for me. The second one is Yesteryear. This is again the book of the internet. When I read it, I think I did not really vibe with it that much. It took me a really long time to finish. I was traveling a lot while I was reading it, so all of that added to it. But then when I finished the book and I sat with the story, I just felt like it was written really well. So this book for me is a yes. If you want to read about an influencer who cosplays as this trad wife on the internet, where there comes a time where she's actually forced to be a trad wife in real life, you would actually enjoy it. I love the writing. The commentary was very clever. So it's yes for me. The third one is Fourth Wing. Now, I read this book about 3 years back when I came out. I was just like, I'm not gonna fall victim to what the internet is talking about, but then I did. I think Fourth Wing was probably my first fantasy book that I read, probably after Harry Potter. Absolutely enjoyed it, devoured the book. It was written so well, so fast paced. So, Fourth Wing is a yes for me. I did read Iron Flame, but I did not like it at all. It just felt like it was very inconsistent. Whatever was happening in the first book, whatever worked well for the first book, it felt like it was just done copy and paste onto the second one, but done not that well, where it didn't make sense. A lot of the characters were just brought up for the sake of story that the author wanted to portray, so it just did not work out for me. It was a chaos, and I didn't even bother picking the third one up. But the first one, Fourth Wing, definitely a yes. If you're new to fantasy, if you've not explored that genre, yes. If you are already a fantasy reader, maybe not. The fourth one is along the same lines, which is Powerless. Powerless at the time was a yes for me. Then it turned into a maybe, and now it is a no. When I read the book, I loved it. It still, I feel, sits at 5 stars in my Goodreads rating. I'm not going to change that. I absolutely loved it when I read it. I was, again, very new to fantasy, so whatever was happening in the book, I was eating it up. Whatever the author was feeding me, I was gobbling it all up. It was so good. Later, I realized that the story might not have been an original, and when I read The Hunger Games, after that I realized why people were saying that. So again, this book, first one, I absolutely loved it. Second one, I struggled to finish, and I don't think I finished it as well. Third one, didn't even bother picking it up. So if you're new to fantasy, if you've not explored it that much, maybe you can give it a shot, but if you've read The Hunger Games first, I don't think you would like it. The next one is The 7-Year Slip. This is a yes for me. Loved it. I have been wanting to reread this book for the longest time. This is the kind of romance that I like. It's written so well. It's between these two characters where they don't even exist in the same physical space. So, this girl who goes to live in her aunt's house that she's inherited after the aunt died, she starts seeing this guy who used to live there 7 years ago. So, whenever she goes into that apartment, she's transported like 7 years back into the past. It's just great. Hell yes. The next one is the entire series, acotar, a court of thorns, a court of thorns and roses. This one as well, I think I read it after I read Fourth Wing. Absolutely devoured it again. So when I read it, I kind of went into it blind. I did not know the hype with the second book. When I read the first book, I was just like, oh my god, like such a cute story between these two characters. But then it turns out to be so much more because it is, of course, a five book series. So again, this is something, if you have not explored fantasy, it's very easy to get into. It eases you into the genre. If you've not heard about it, if you don't have a lot of spoilers, definitely would recommend. It is worth investing the time that you would otherwise invest in reading 5 books. Actually, the books are very thick. You could probably read 10 books by the time you finish the series, but a very good and easy gateway if you want to get into fantasy. The next one is The Midnight Library. Yes, absolutely yes. You know those books that are packaged as fiction, but they give you so much more than it just being a story? Midnight Library was one of those. This book found me at the perfect time. It asks you that question that, what the choices that you've made in life, if you would have taken another route, if you've made another decision, where would life be? And it just makes you appreciate your current life a lot more. So, absolutely a yes. The next book, A Little Life. I would say maybe. I would maybe incline towards no more, and I don't mean it at all in a way where this was a very bad book. Actually, completely the opposite. I've had this book for almost 4 years, and this is the year that I decided to read it because I was so scared. I'd heard people talk about this book, say that this ruins you in, I don't know, the best, worst way possible. If you are in a happy place in your life, don't read this book. If you're in a bad place, don't read this book, because if you're happy, it's going to make you sad. If you're already sad, it's going to make it way worse. So this is one book that just read it at your own expense. I've warned you, it's your choice at the end of the day. But I would say maybe. The next one is Normal People. I would say no. When I read it, it was a maybe for me at that time as well. But I've read other Sally Rooney books and I've enjoyed them a lot more than Normal People. I know there is a full cult of people who really love Normal People. That book just was not for me. It just overall had this melancholic vibe, which I did not enjoy. And I love reading about sad books. I love books that deal with heavy emotions. But this one, it just, I don't know. Maybe I read it at the wrong time, but I did not vibe with it. So it was a no for me. Still is. The next one is The Deal, which is the off campus series. Absolutely yes. I read this book when I was in the biggest slump of my life, and it got me out of that. And if you have watched the show as well, I would highly recommend reading the series. I've only read the first 2 books. I think The Deal and the second one is The Mistake. I've not read the others. But you know what? I might just get to it because it was so good. I still remember it. I watched the show and it was absolutely perfect. The book, the show, 5 stars. Though the book, if you read it now, it's a little outdated with the way that the boys talk and the way that they, make comments about girls. All respectful, like the boys in this series, they're very respectful, very nice. But just the way that they talk and the lingo that they have, it's a little outdated, so ignore that. It is an old book, so apart from it, story, romance, writing, all of it, chef's kiss, definitely yes. The next one is Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This book as well, I read it years back, but I still remember it. It was written so well, so fast-paced. If you like to read about, glamorous people, if you like watching reality shows, definitely you would enjoy reading this book. It is about the 7 husbands of this mega star, Evelyn Hugo, and each husband has a story, a chapter that's dedicated to that phase in her life. It's done really well. It literally feels like watching a reality show play out in front of you on pages. The next one is The Housemaid. Now, this book also is literally everywhere. A movie came out starring Sydney Sweeney. I did watch the movie. I had read this book really long time back. I would say this is a maybe. I have read thrillers which are way better than The Housemaid. The plot was a little predictable for me, but if you're somebody who is new to reading, who's new to thrillers, I would say that you might enjoy it. So give it a try, but for me, it's a maybe. The next one is I Who Have Never Known Men. This as well is a maybe, inclining more towards yes. It's a quick short story, it's a dystopian fiction. I enjoyed everything. The writing was very profound. One thing I did not enjoy was the ending. It is left open to interpretation, but there's not even that much given to the reader that we can interpret something. So that was my only complaint about the book. Otherwise, it is a good book. Not very fast paced, but if you can dedicate some time and you want to read something that's different and dystopian, set in a completely different world, check this out. The next one is The Nightingale. I would say this is a yes. This was my first book by Kristen Hanna and also my first historical fiction. I enjoyed every page of it. The story, Kristen Hanna writes such beautiful women led stories. From page one, I was pulled in till the end. I was thoroughly invested in the story. So this book essentially talks about what it is like to be a woman during a war. In this, we follow the story of two sisters during World War II, written very beautifully. All Kristen Hanna books towards the end, the 50-60 pages, you would not be able to read because of how much you're crying. So if this is on your radar, definitely a yes. Next one is Better Than the Movies. Maybe. I read this really long back, and this is a young adult book, but very fast paced, easy to digest, a good palate cleanser. So, for somebody who wants to get into reading, maybe this can be a good book. But now that I've read better romance, I have discovered what I like. I don't think I would read anything like this at this point, but when I read it, I absolutely loved it. So, it's a maybe. Next one is Twisted Love. I read this some years back and I regret the time that I decided to pick this up. It's a big no for me. I don't get the hype around this book, to be very honest. Main characters, they're so annoying. There's just no build up, there's no consistency in the story. It just feels very toxic in a really bad way. I don't think I have cringed that much whenever a main character says something in the book as much as I did this. And I read this on a vacation and it spoiled my mood. I don't know why I decided to finish it, but I think that was the only book that I had at the time. Unfortunately, I did finish it and I did not like it. I'm glad actually I finished it so I can have my well rounded opinion on it. I have heard people say that Twisted Games, the second one in the series, is the best one, and I did try to give it a chance. I don't know why, but I could not get past the 50-page mark. It was just so cringy. It's not for me. And it's marketed as dark romance. It was just bad romance. And there was no romance as well, actually. Okay, this is turning into a rant, but this is a no. A big no. The next one is the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. I think this has some 7 or 8 books. And this is a big yes. A big yes. So, doesn't matter if you're new to fantasy, if you've already explored fantasy. If you've not read the series, I definitely recommend reading this. The brilliance that the series is, from the book 1 to the last book, to create a world so intricate, to be able to keep the reader's interest going on for 8 books is not easy, and the series does it. The series has one of my favorite female characters ever, outside of fantasy as well, any genre. I absolutely love the series. And I think the last book in the series has a rating of around, it's more than 4 is what I remember. Can you imagine the last book in an 8 book series, and that book is still so highly rated? Someone's doing something right here. So, if this is something you're interested in and you've been thinking if you should pick it up or not, definitely recommend. Next one is Beach Read by Emily Henry. Definitely a yes. I've read the book. I have listened to the audiobook as well. Audiobook experience was better for me. I don't know why, but audiobook just hit way better than the book. The story is too good. The build up is great. The romance, it does not feel forced. All in all, a very good summer read. I want to reread Emily Henry again. I'm going to take it with me the next time I will be next to the beach. So, a yes. The next one is Beer Town. Absolutely a yes. I just finished rereading it a couple of days back. The writing in the book, the characters, the story, the way that a chapter starts and it ends, and the first paragraph, the last paragraph, how it just, comes together as a whole, it's just too good. The writing is brilliant, and it is a 3 book series. I'm reading the second one right now, so this is a definite yes. And the last book is Haunting Adeline. If this book has been haunting you and you're thinking of picking this up, absolutely a no. This was my first dark romance that I ever read in my life. Because I don't consider Twisted Love or the Twisted series dark romance. If that was dark romance, I don't know what this is. What is darker than dark? I don't know. This is book from hell then. It's so bad. I have already ranted about this book a couple of weeks back when I finished it, and I did finish it. Why did I finish it? I don't know. Why do I still have the copy? I don't know. But absolute no. Absolute no. People justify this book by saying that, oh, it's fiction, it's fictional. Why are you working yourself up that much? It is fictional, yes, but it is out there in the world for people to read, for kids to read, especially right now when you can just download PDFs of books online. It's not good. So, a definite no. Do yourself a favor, do the world a favor, and don't read it. So, yeah, those were some, I don't know, 20, 21 books that have been all over the internet and are very overhyped. Some of them absolutely deserve it, some of them not so much. But that was my opinion on these books. If you disagree, that's okay. I understand. So I hope that this video answered some of your questions about the overhyped books and if they are actually worth the hype or not. I don't know if I gave the synopsis of the books that much, but I feel like if you have seen these books on the internet, you already kind of know what they're about. So I just wanted to give my thoughts, which I hope that I did. That is it for now. And I'm gonna go back to reading my book, and I hope you will do the same after this, and we will see each other in the next one. Bye.